Peter, this is our sponsor, Cycling Frog. It's seltzer. It's seltzer with pot in it. And you know how I know it works? Because I'm holding the can upside down.
I saw that.
Cyclingfrog.com. Use the code SUM for stand-up memories and you will get a discount. And you will love this stuff. 5 milligram or 2 milligram size. It's fantastic. Cyclingfrog.com.
Get buzzed without the alcohol. Here it is right side up.
Oh.
Welcome to Stand Up Memories, another episode.
I need to apologize to you for my snip fit that I have with Bales before every show, Carole. I tell him that when you walk in and see somebody in the green room, that's the most fun you're going to have the whole time when you haven't worked with somebody or whatever. And he insists on going into something, and then he shuts up, and then he goes into something, and then he wanted to say hello.
I'm saying hello. I was just saying hello before. Haven't seen her for a while. We go way back.
And you're not going to ask her about her hat?
I'm going to ask her about everything.
Oh.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stand Up Memories. I am Peter Bales. This is Jackie, the joke man, Martling, and we have a terrific, terrific guest we have both known for a long time. A terrific, terrific comedian who's had all kinds of success on so many levels. And her name is Carole Montgomery.
And especially huge success in the last, how long has it been? 6 months or a year or two? With
the shows? Actually, we premiered the first show in 2019, so it's been 5 years now.
5 years.
Jesus.
Yeah.
5 years, and we should explain the show is Funny Women of a Certain Age. Take it from there, Carole. So successful.
Well, basically, yes, it's the show is called Funny Women of a Certain Age. We have 3 shows on. Well, right now, you know, Paramount Plus owns Showtime, and we're really not sure what's going on. But at one point, we had all 3 specials running on Showtime: Funny Women of a Certain Age, More Funny Women of a Certain Age, and Even More Funny Women of a Certain Age. I did not come up with the titles. That was some executive on Showtime because they're so good at stuff like that. But it's basically we showcase female comics over the age of 50 because that's an untapped demographic. You both of you gentlemen are older, so you understand that the demographic in general for anybody over 50 is huge, but nobody seems to want to pay attention to us. So I just went, you know what? Let's do this. And it ended up, it was the only time I said to my husband, I think we should do a show about, you know, women over 50. It was the only time my husband went, this is a good idea. Like, because, you know, we're comedians. We always have ideas. And he went, this is fun. And it was absolutely.
But for somebody to go, wow, that's a great idea. Like what'd you say?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a great idea. You hit a nerve. Great response to it. And you have live shows as well. You tour with these ladies, right?
Yeah, we took the summer off because every summer I've been doing stand-up over 40 years, and every summer June comes around and I go, I have no work, and I'm like, and my husband's like, you know, it's the summer, right? You know, you never have work in the summer, and every summer I go, why don't I have work? Because it's summer. So we start
right. This is the first year that I can remember that I didn't have one gig the whole month of July, and then I was thinking about it. I said, you know, maybe I don't have any gigs every July. You know, you just don't like to think about that.
It's every comic. The summer, for whatever reason, the summer always sucks, and so we start up again in September, and we're pretty much booked through the year, through next year. So
I totally relate to what you two are saying about gigs in the summer, except for me, it's November, December, January.
This is Peter's part of the show with the poor me, and
the self-deprecation is
but it's
key.
absolutely deserved.
Now listen, Carole.
Yes.
I want to tell our audience, and we have a lot of comedians who watch our show, and you look so nice and polite, but I would say don't heckle this woman on the Late Show at Dangerfield. You're going to see another side of her.
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, are we allowed to use words? Are we allowed to use curse
No
words?
censorship on this show.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not one to be fucked with. Put it that way. You know, I mean, I really, I would like to think that people, for the most part, I come off as very nice. But if you cross me, especially if I'm on stage, but you know what? I've changed because I used to pride myself when I would deal with hecklers, like I would just go after them and I would, of course, destroy them. Now it's like I don't even do that anymore. I basically turn around and I turn to the audience and go, well, you guys have a choice now. You can either listen to this asshole try to heckle me, or we can get him thrown out. And 9 out of 10 times, everyone's like, throw him out, get him out of here. I don't
You
even.
know, it's very funny because I think we all, it just has tapered off, because to this day I'll go to do a gig and, oh, this is my husband, please pick on him. Oh, this is my girlfriend. And I'm like, I haven't picked on anybody in the audience in 20 years.
Right.
You just don't do that anymore. And
Right.
you don't address hecklers because you don't want to encourage them. I'm old. I want to do my act and enjoy doing my act. I don't want to be jumping over hurdles, you know? So
Exactly.
if you engage them, then you got a whole world in front of you.
However, sometimes things happen, and in defense of some, not all audience members, some of them don't even realize they're doing it. Oh, that happened to me too. Or they think they're helping you, which they're not, of course.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, I do agree. But like those, I've had people come, you know, like I remember specifically this one time, this guy just kept, kept bothering me. You know what I mean? Finally, and after the show, they got him, they threw him out, and he was so mad at me. Like he waited and said, "Why did you have me thrown out?" I said, "You're ruining the show. People paid hard-earned money. Like people don't. We live in a world, right? Especially now, we live in a world where everybody can because of the internet and because of social media, everyone can comment on everything. This is when I'm on stage. If you don't like what I said, or you want to say, come up to me afterwards and talk to me then. I won't talk to you because I book out the basement.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, you can talk to me. I'll be gone. I'll be so fucking gone. But we do live in this world now where people think that they can comment on you. And it's like, okay, really? You want to, most people who come to a comedy show now, it's not cheap. You know, but by the time you pay for, especially in the city, if you come to the city, pay for parking, the show, drinks, you're talking a couple of $100, and you want some asshole who's like, oh, somebody told me I was funny, so I'm going to engage.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to go right at
way in the beginning, before, people, it was a whole learned thing. People had to get used to sitting in an audience and watching comedy. I mean, there were a few, there was a place in the city and a place in California, but when all the clubs started filling in, people didn't know about it. And it just used to make me crazy when somebody would like heckle you or talk along with you, and you pick your spots, and then afterwards come up and say, wasn't it great how I helped you? And you just want to punch them in the face. Like, what, this isn't a game of ping pong. This is a Broadway play I'm doing up here. And you're not there to, yell your suggestions.
Yeah, I love when they say, yeah, did I help you? I'm like, no, you didn't fucking help me. Just sit down. But like I said, we live in a different time. I mean, you know this because you're older comics like me. We started in a different time. I still try to do all of the social media and the reels and the this and all I want to do is I want to write my little jokes, and I want to go on stage and tell my little jokes, and then I want to leave. I don't want to know that I've got so many likes and this views and all that stuff. That to me doesn't make a comedian. You've got.
Now, I want to say this. You are proudly, I believe, an unabashed feminist, and you use humor to make your points very often, and you have a presence on Facebook, and you crack me up.
Oh, thank you.
Now, there are certain challenges for female comedians, and I wanted to ask you about when you started, what the challenges were,
Well,
and
working with people like me and you.
the challenges for people like me and you. No, and the difference now, what is, if there is a difference? I hope there's been change for the better.
Well, I think right now in this political climate, it's actually changing rapidly because there's a huge movement of very pissed off women right now. And I think that that's opening up doors that women are standing up and going, well, we're not going to take this shit anymore. So it reminds me a lot of basically like the late 60s when women were first coming up. As far as the challenges as a comedian, you guys know me. I never took, I don't suffer fools well. So I was very lucky. I never really had to deal with issues. I will tell you, and I think, Jackie, I told you the story once before, when we did the, you were hosting a show at the Madison Square Garden Comedy Club. Do you remember that? And with Patrice O'Neill and Voss and Bob Zaney and me. And Patrice decided, because he didn't want to follow me, that he would go on ahead of me the second show and basically tank the audience for me. Like make it, because I had done so well in the first show. And Jackie was sitting there and we were both waiting. We were all supposed to be doing 10 minutes and he's doing 25. And Jackie turned to me and goes, I'll take care of it. And he went and turned the crowd around for me because, and that was a blatant view of what the sexism is. And he just didn't like the fact that he had to follow a woman that was funny, or not funnier than him, because he has his own views. But I was very strong in that first show. So he made sure that he made sure he switched spots with me so he could tank the audience. And Jackie, the audience never knew. You just went on, you did 20 minutes up front, and then I ended up killing.
Let me be clear.
I remember every horrible show I've ever had, but when I do something nice like that, somehow that is not in my memory.
So,
you know what I mean?
I want clarification here. Jackie Martling did something nice.
He did. He was, and it was because I remember because it was a small room at the Garden, and they had a makeshift green room, which was basically like a tent. And you and I, Jackie, were sitting on folding chairs, and we kept looking like, all right, oh, he's going long, because comics do that. We all know that.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, it's 15. Oh, shit, it's 20. Oh, shit, it's 25. And it was silent. It was 25 minutes of, like, whatever he could do to make that audience pissed, he was going to do.
Oh.
And then Jackie was like, don't worry, I got it. And he did. And I'll never forget that. It was and the reason why that, and I remember saying this to you, I said, my sister and her husband are in the audience. So not only was this guy, throwing the audience, my sister was in the audience. So so thank you.
But of course they were.
Yeah,
You know
of
what
course
I
they
mean?
were.
If
Well, I'll
that's
tell you
gonna
another
happen,
story.
that's
I'll tell
when
you
the
another
family
story.
is there,
I can see you doing that. I genuinely can. Now, see?
Audiences are so weird. One time, we always talk about, bombing and how funny it is. And it's
Right.
funny when the other guy's bombing.
Right.
We're at the Fort Lauderdale comic strip, and John Heyman went on stage, and whatever he did, he just said the wrong thing. And he proceeded to dig himself further and further into the hole, to the point where the audience really hated him.
Right.
And I was following him, and I was on my way up, and on my way up onto the stage, as he passed me, he said, "Good luck. You can't get anything out of these people." And within like 5 seconds, I had him roaring, and he
Right.
was so pissed off,
Yeah.
But you know how if you take a wrong turn, you
Yeah.
can really go down that rabbit hole with an audience. You know what I mean? It doesn't take a lot.
And this leads into my next question. Carole, we've had success on this podcast asking comedians not about their best times on stage, because 99% of the time, plus, the shows are great. But when things go wrong, do you have any nightmares that stick in your head
Oh.
about things that have gone wrong for you on stage?
Okay, so I guess you guys don't know this story. This happened recently. Oh, you'll love it. This is a classic, holy shit type of story. So when we were shooting the third special, okay, first of all, it was still during COVID. We were supposed to shoot it in July. There was a COVID scare, so we had to cancel. I was literally driving into the hotel when I got the call that there was a COVID issue. And my producer was still in New York because I came out to LA earlier. We decided to shoot in LA that episode. He flew out. He said, "What do I do?" I said, "Get on the fucking plane and we'll figure it out when you get here." So he got here. We had to cancel everything. That was a Sunday. We had to cancel on Tuesday. So very smartly, he said to me, "Let's make sure we rebook this immediately or we'll never take the third one." So we go and we say, "Okay, we're doing it in August." Okay, so we do it in August. Here's the part that you will love. So we get there, everything's fine, setting up all the stuff. So the colors of the show are pink and yellow. That pink, as you can see here, and yellow. And for the first show we did pink, the second show we did yellow. I said, we'll do a combo. And for some reason they did not like it. So somebody says to me, now you have to understand this is happening a half an hour before. The doors are open.
Wait, they being the Showtime people?
Yes, the Showtime people and the producers. The lighting is okay. So I'm half dressed. I'm fully made up, but I'm wearing, because I don't put on my stage clothes until I'm on, about to go up. So I'm in my jeans. I'm walking back to the video village to discuss with the director why they don't want these colors. People are walking into the club. My friends are there. Everyone's stopping to talk to me. I'm like, this is not okay. No, this isn't even the worst part yet. So I say to her, they say, we want to do blue and pink. I said, that's not the colors of the show. And so we fight, the director, me, or whoever. They go, let us show you what it'll look like if we change it to blue and pink. Oh, no, and so they changed it. I said, it's not. So then they changed it back. And then I said, just make whatever you want, blue and pink. This is important for the story. First comic goes on, it was Wendy Liebman, she kills. They set up the next shot, I'm coming out. I'm doing my show. I am having the set of my life. I am nailing every single, and about 5 minutes into the set, I turn to my right and my director, who was in the video village, is off stage right. And I'm looking, and you know how like when you're on stage and you're still doing your stuff, but you're thinking to yourself, why are they, and
trying to process that in the back.
Right. And she's waving at me. And finally I just stop what I'm doing. And I turn and go, what the fuck do you want? And she goes, a light went out behind you. We have to reshoot the set. And I go, okay, from here? She goes, no, we have to reshoot the whole show.
Oh.
And I looked at her and I went, first of all, I embarrassed the shit out of her. I said, come out here. And I said, this is my director. And I explained to the audience, it's live television. I said, okay, here's what's going to happen. We have to reshoot that because the light went out. The light that I was telling them not to fucking touch.
Yeah.
And so we had to reshoot the whole thing. And so, guys, this is the only time this has ever happened. Maybe because I had worked this. When you work a set so much for TV, I was like, okay. And I literally said to the audience, you're going to have to laugh exactly where you were. You're going to have to act like you never heard this. I said, give me a moment. I took a breath. I turned away. And I said, okay, start rolling. And I did the set as if nothing had ever happened. And when you watch the set, there's the first few punchlines, because I know that they laugh really loud. I do one of these.
Right. Like,
so that would probably be the word. I mean, and you don't, obviously you can't tell they edited it in the way because I had an amazing editor. But when I walk backstage, all the girls, Terry Hatcher, Marsha Warfield, Leanne Lord, Monique Marvez, they looked at me and went, wow, am I glad that's not fucking me.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a nightmare.
Let's start over. The famous story about Belzer had to do a hunk of his act in the movie Scarface.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he had such a great time doing what he did until the 19th time.
Right.
He was
right.
That's what, that actually cost Jack. They brought Jack Parr back.
Yes, I was going to say that.
To do his show again
Yes.
on ABC or CBS or something. And he went out, and I think I started with like, where was I? And he had a killer monologue. And when he was done, they hit the talk back. Sorry, Jack, we had a little problem here in the booth. We got to start over. And he spent the whole time
Ah,
just ranting about how much he hated the network and what idiots they
Oh.
were. And I think he lasted like 2 weeks. And
Right,
he might still be on the air. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of,
right.
oh, those
Yeah, I mean, but
things.
that's something like, especially because you say a lot of comics listen to this. I am in no way patting myself on the back, but that's the one thing about that when you're a professional, and especially that set. I mean, I had worked the set so much. I was like in my 20s again. I was doing sets every night, 2 or 3 times a week just to get this set right. And then I had to come back and do it again for a month because we had to postpone. When you have a set that tight, and that's one of the reasons why you do
Yeah.
that. I call when I hear comics talk about, oh, I'm grinding, I'm doing the grind. You're just doing that to show off. You're like, there's no reason, unless you have a reason to go out, you're working on your set, or there's no reason to go out 6 or 7 times a night unless you're working on something. So a lot of my friends now, we call it uh, um, working for spots. Like, in other words, when you're doing a spot, you're doing it, there has to be a reason why you're going out. I'm 66 years old. I'm not doing a 1 o'clock spot at Dangerfields anymore. There's no reason for that.
No.
some people are desperate for a few dollars, though. There are people.
Am I looking at one of them?
Uh, I have 9 spots this week.
No,
Um,
at
no,
some point it's for the love of it, like it's very weird. I just saw somebody today and somebody asked me, I'm 76. And they said, are you retired? And I said, I'm retired until the phone rings.
Mhm.
It's very rare that I'll say no. I'm driving too far for too little money and
Right.
it all sucks. And then you get up there and start getting the laughs. And it's like, that's our jizz. That's our caffeine.
people interested in comedy watch this podcast, and Carole has expertise in something I want to ask her about. I've never,
This isn't lewd.
it's not lewd.
Okay. I was hoping.
I don't know about that expertise.
Well, I didn't mean to allude that I
She
did.
is a
He
director.
owes me from that
She
favor.
is
long
a
ago.
director of what I would call one-person shows.
Yep.
And a lot of people, including me to some extent, don't understand the difference between a comedian simply doing a long set
Mhm.
and a one-person show, which you help to develop and direct. Can you tell us that answer?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know, and you'll see people go, "Oh, I'm doing my 1 person show," and then you're like, "Oh, okay, so that was your headlining spot."
Yeah.
What a 1 person show is, it's based. There's more to it. There's a story to it. For example, there's poignancy, there's drama, there's sadness, there's obviously jokes, but it's done in a way where it's not it depends. Every comic is different. Like, I know that right now, when if I'm going to be doing a long set, I pretty much know, okay, I'm going to talk about being old, I'm going to talk about being married, I'm going to talk about my son, and and that's pretty much my stand up in it. But I myself am actually developing my second solo show, and there's more stories about what the basis for this particular solo show is about why I became the person I became and why I became a comedian. So it's not the same thing, because when someone is just doing 45 minutes or an hour of jokes, it's just jokes. A
Yeah,
solo
a one-man show, 1 person show, you're looking behind the curtain.
Exactly. Exactly. The show that I tell people when people approach me about wanting to do that, I said, if you want to see what I think is a simply one of the best solo shows ever with a comedian who is brilliant, is Christopher Titus's first show is called Norman Rockwell is Bleeding. And he does stand up in it, but there's stuff in his that I don't want to give away, but there's some very, very, very heavy show. There's a point where he makes a comment and the story changes, and you can hear it is so quiet because the audience, and I'm talking because he has a second one, he redid it. That's because they knew what was coming. But that first time when he talks about this issue, it gets so quiet, and then within he goes into it. He really lets you feel it. And then the next is a huge joke, and you would have thought there was like an explosion of
Right,
laughter.
it explodes out of it. That's, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. But that's what a solo show is. It's not, it is not in any way. When people say I'm doing a solo show and then I go in and it's 45 minutes of your act, then I get pissed.
Okay, all right. Well, that's
Right.
great. That's the answer that I was looking for.
Well,
And
I'll give you another example. You know Jim Florentine, right? You guys know Jim.
yes,
Okay.
of course.
So when I went to go see his first solo show, and he knew I directed shows, and he said, he goes, "What'd you think?" And I said, "It needs work." And then he didn't talk to me for 6 months. But what happened was he showed up at a gig I was at, and we were literally 6 months later. We're sitting in the green room, and he walks in, and we say hi, and he looks at me, and goes, "What would you change?" And I mean, like that was from 6 months ago. And the first thing I said to him, I said, "You have a comic opening for you. If you have a comic opening for you, that's not a solo show anymore. That's a two-person show." So we took away, and I ended up directing I'm Your Savior, which is on Amazon Prime now. But once you take away another comic, and also I didn't want him to have a mic. You shouldn't have a mic when you're doing it. These are very simple things. And whoever is listening, if you use them, send me a check. Nice.
CaroleMontgomery.com,
Right.
CaroleMontgomery.com.
That's Venmo me, because these are that to me, no comic opens for you
Okay.
and no mic. That alone changes it. And because if you walk into a club and you see a mic, even if the guy is going to be doing a soliloquy from Shakespeare, you're going to think it's stand up.
You know what?
Because it builds a wall. You get rid of the mic, all of a sudden.
It seems so obvious, but so many people have mics.
Yes, they do.
All right. Well, you are a director of one-person shows. And I wanted to ask you, this woman had a long residency in Las Vegas. Do you miss Vegas? Is it special?
I I missed the paycheck.
Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I had like, what comic do you know? I mean, I was there for 10 years. I had a steady job. I raised my son there. Do you know what I mean? Like when you ask my son, he's a grown man now, he's 32, but when you ask him,
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
He's little. We talked about him at our gigs. He's a little kid.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
He was little when
Where was your show in Vegas?
I was the comedian in Crazy Girls at the Riviera.
Oh, that was my place too.
Yeah. And
Oh.
so, you know, Steve Sharippa, what happened was the woman who was doing the comedy, it was a woman named Pudgy. She had gotten sick, and I was next door at the comedy club, and Steve called me and said, "We need you to fill in at Crazy Girls," which is right next door to the comedy club. So I did 28 shows that week. I would go back and forth from each of the, it was wild. And then they offered me a chance to stay there, and I was on the road a lot, and I didn't want to leave the baby. And so he and me, the first year I was there, that summer we stayed at the Riviera all summer at the hotel.
That was such a fun place. I have always talked about the greatest thing in the world is an elevator job. I'm going back to Vegas for the first time in a long time at this place called the Ahern Hotel. But when you stay in the hotel and you just take the elevator,
I love that.
It's just a different world,
It is.
You raised your son in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Was he 7 and he knew when to hit and when not to hit?
He came backstage one time. So he's about 4 or 5 years old, and we got permission that he could go backstage, and the girls all, put on their robes and everything. And they all walked up to him and they were like, "Oh my God." And they all started kissing him. So he walks out of there with like lipstick all over his face, and he goes, "I really like those girls, Mom."
I'll never forget that. Now, I'm trying Crazy Girls. They were skimpy, but they weren't topless, or were they?
No, they were topless. They were topless. They were the topless girls. And then upstairs was Lacage, where it was the drag queens.
Jesus. I used to work at the top of the Riv in that huge showroom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a great.
I did it maybe 10 times in 10 years, but working with Sharippa was, just so much fun. He gave me the big suite and all that, that was old Las Vegas, that hotel,
And he's my guardian angel to this day. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I would not have, I would not have been there for 10 years, you know, it was a great, and you know, they imploded it. It's no longer there.
They imploded it.
Such a heartbreak.
That
Jeez,
is
I
so
know.
ironic, given your act now.
that's fun.
Imploded? Is that- Carole,
I thought you were talking to her.
I know. Oh, I'm getting a signal. We got to wrap this up. Carole, will you come
Yes.
back? Can we get you again sometime?
I would love
You
to, and I would love to actually come out and be in the studio. It just,
Oh,
not in the summertime, boys, not in the summertime.
Right, but it's a different thing when you're all in the same room. I've always said that.
Oh,
you are-
absolutely.
You are terrific. You are still terrific. You've always been terrific.
Oh, stop. Thank you.
And you know what I want to say? You know, you're speaking out about comedians and both age and gender. Bravo.
Thank you.
That's all I want to say is bravo.
You're only saying that because you're so
No.
goddamn old.
No, well, I think she's doing the right thing, and I mean that seriously.
You realize that she goofed on you about your white hair, and that's not on tape. That happened in the pre-interview that you conducted.
This will be on later. This, because, you know, we're taping, it'll be on later, not too later, but
I feel like I'm
I was
watching,
wa-
I feel like I'm watching the live version of the Statler Brothers.
With any luck. And give my love to Julia, please. She's
I
an
gotta tell you
old
this.
friend.
I was walking down Fifth Avenue and a total stranger walked past me, did not break his stride. I did not break my stride, looked at me and said, "Hello, Phil," and just kept going.
Ah,
And I want to say that this will be on in a few weeks, but it's just today that we learned about Phil Donahue passing away.
but today,
Next time
Today,
that person
so
walks
the news
past
just
you-
hit today.
Next time that
Oh.
person walks past you, they're gonna think they're seeing a ghost.
But because of my hair, people have made fun of me looking like Phil Donahue, who young people, of course, don't remember that he pioneered the audience interaction daytime talk show.
And
yes,
he really
he did.
did. He really did.
But we could, I love talking about,
Yeah, let's go out on
History.
who's dead. That's like,
no. Let's go out on a positive note,
Yes.
which is her wonderful show that you can see live and on Showtime.
Yep.
Funny women of a certain age. What a great idea. You know what? What doesn't matter what the colors are. It matters what you're doing, and and congratulations, and keep on keeping on. How about that?
Yeah, just so you know, we will be back in Long Island. We will be at the Suffolk in November, in Riverhead, November
I
10th.
love that theater.
Yes,
You love that theater?
And it's a matinee, so all you old people, come on out. Those are my favorite now. The
It's a
matinees are the best.
matinee?
Oh,
Oh, that's
yeah.
terrific.
We do a week of shows in Florida. The show is at 2. We're on the beach at 3.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I remember working at, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, however many years ago, at a show at the brokerage, and they said it's starting at 7 o'clock. And I'm like, 7 o'clock? Nobody goes out at 7 o'clock. And then I realized, no, nobody goes out at 9 o'clock. Everybody goes out at 7 o'clock. You know?
That's a big
Absolutely.
change from when we started out.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Carole Montgomery, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Thank you for doing this. We appreciate it. And if you see anybody, tell them, please do our show.
And
Absolutely,
all
absolutely.
right. And thank you for watching Stand Up Memories. Jackie the Joke Man Martling, Peter Bales, our great guest Carole Montgomery. We will see you next time.